Well, the UN's refugee agency, the UNHCR, has called it the most devastating humanitarian and displacement crisis in the world. The civil war in Sudan has forced millions of people from their homes, and according to the UN, more than 30 million people are in need of aid. Well, this week we're beginning a week-long focus on Sudan. We'll hear from people in British Columbia whose lives and families are directly tied to the region. And we'll learn about other connections between the Lower Mainland and the fighting that is taking place. Well, to start, we're joined here in studio by Pastor Kalu Manzul, the head of the Sudanese Canadian Society of BC, and he's supporting local Sudanese families. Pastor Manzul, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us.
I'm keeping in mind the magnitude and the complexity of this crisis, but I'd like to start with just a bit of a timeline of how we got to this point. So the fighting is between two military groups. The
Yes.
Sudanese Armed Forces, which is the government recognized military group, and a paramilitary group called the Rapid Support Forces, or RSF. And they actually worked together before, right?
Yes.
In the ouster in 2019 of former President Omar al-Bashir. But since then, as the civilian transition government was underway in 2023, then these two military groups turned on each other. Can you tell me, from your perspective, your observation, what is it that they are fighting over?
Thank you for this opportunity. As I mentioned earlier, I think there is an issue that has the root cause for the long time. Mainly is identity. Is one of the main issue connected to the Islamic, which is sometimes people misunderstand it when we talk about the Islam that is being used in Sudan to crush other population. So we can see that from long time when, like since 1956, when a government was using Islamic to crush the people from South Sudan, which it became now a country. But mainly I will just put it in simple way to say identity issue, and that the government is using the Islam also to as reason for fighting others. So now after the South Sudan get independent, so now the war that is started in Darfur, which people are talking about it, is like something new. It's not something new. There's a genocide that happened, and the UN itself mentioned a few years back there is about 300,000 people that killed in Darfur. So those who committed crime in Darfur before, where are those people? They never brought to the justice. So that also is still leading the crisis. So the same people who committed crime in Darfur before, the government brought them in and give them power, which is RSF, which they came to the power. How did they come to the power? Because the government was using them as a tools to find other rebels. And when the al-Bashir was thrown out, the main reason that RSF were in power because al-Bashir brought them in so that he can fight the protest that was on the street. But they took the side because they found themselves that now they have a power, they have a weapon. And before al-Bashir was using identity as we are Arab, and now the Rapid Support Forces, now they are Arab too. So now you have the power struggle. But the main cause is actually identity that we are facing in Sudan.
What are you hearing from families you speak with here in BC?
You're talking about the BC here, or you're
Yes.
talking, yeah. There is a challenge. People are worried about their loved ones back home. The biggest challenge is sometimes you cannot communicate with them, so you don't know what's happening to them because the life in Sudan is unpredicted. The place that it considered safe before is not safe anymore. Yeah. When the war broke out in Khartoum city, people ran all the way to the east. They thought that it's going to be safe there. But the drones now are going to hit people in east. And Plus, there is no humanitarian access for loved ones. So you can imagine that how people are thinking about that in their daily life. People have their immediate parents, immediate children. It's affecting them.
You touched on the restricted access to communication
Yes.
with people in Sudan. How are families here getting information?
It's challenging. It depends on some regions. Sometimes there is communication and then suddenly will disappear. You can talk to them morning and then evening time there is no signals at all. And then 2-3 days, suddenly they contact you. It depends on the region.
As I mentioned, you've just been talking about the displacement as well, 12 million civilians. The World Health Organization has also put a number, saying that the fighting has killed at least 40,000 people, but aid groups say that death toll could actually be much greater. What are the biggest concerns? I mean, I can't imagine watching this and, as you say, not being able to get consistent news or communication with relatives and friends back in Sudan.
Well, the biggest concern is there is very basic human life that you should have. So let's say there is no water, there is no food, there is no medical. Kids are not going to school, and you don't know what is tomorrow. You're just living like things that are unexpected. People have many basic things that they depend on. They don't have that. And we are not talking about something that bigger. We're talking about very, very simple way of living. Like somebody that is struggling to drink water, somebody that is struggling to find the food, somebody that can just have a headache and is struggling just to find very simple medicine for just like a headache. So can you imagine that somebody that had some very serious illness or a woman that has some serious illness and having the children and seeing her kids suffering is tough.
There have been concerns, including by the WHO, that there is not enough global interest in what's happening in Sudan, in the conflict there. You know, less global interest than other recent conflicts and other crises elsewhere in the world. Are you concerned about that?
Yes, I am. The conflict in Sudan, as I mentioned, has been for a long, long time, and it's keep consistently happening. And there is nobody that brought to the justice. And it seems like if people are not giving that attention or taking a step to resolve that issue, it's just going to keep going.
Ultimately, of course, the hope is for peace. In this conflict, there have been various ceasefire proposals, but none have been successful. Do you have any hope or optimism that there may be a potential for peace?
What I'm hearing from people who I'm connected to them through the social media, from the government officials like military, they don't want to sign the peace agreement. They want to crush the RSF. And the military with this power, or rebels with this power, I will say, you cannot just crush them easily like that. And before, when they defeated them, or when the military said, we're defeating them, and they are saying that, no, we withdraw for some technical issues. But at the same time, you have other parties that alliance now with the RSF. So if they were before fighting by themselves, now they have a political party that's enjoying them. They have other militaries that or rebels that joining them. So now, in my personal opinion, I would say they are getting more stronger.
We are going to delve deeper into the conflict throughout the course of the week. I really appreciate your starting this conversation with us and sharing your perspective. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
That is Pastor Kalu Manzul, head of the Sudanese Canadian Society of BC.